What's up, Latin students? Welcome to Stage 45 Grammar, the Hortatory and Jussive Subjunctive. If that doesn't sound interesting, I don't know what interesting is. Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to eat some caviar during this video, so I need you to remember your let's eat caviar vowels as we begin the Hortatory and Jussive Subjunctive. We're going to have to review what I mean by subjunctive. I think it's time. Remember that subjunctive is a mood in Latin, and Latin has three of them. The oldest mood, the most important mood, is the indicative mood. Caecilius amicum salutat. Salutat right here is an indicative verb. It indicates the main action. Caecilius greets his friend. The imperative is the second mood. It's for commands. Caecili saluta amicum. Caecilius, greet your friend. Used for commands. The subjunctive was the third mood we learned, and it is used for subordinate clauses or subordinate verbs in some way, or verbs that express kind of potential or hypothetical action. Caecilius ad Januam procedit ut amicum salutet, and that salutet right there, you can see it's spelled differently from salutat. It's in the present subjunctive. Caecilius proceeded to the door in order to greet his friend. It's being used in a purpose clause there. Speaking of purpose clauses, let's just go back over those clauses that the subjunctive likes. It likes circumstantial clauses. Those are the ones that start with cum. It likes indirect questions. Purpose clauses, there we go. Indirect commands. And result clauses. Those are the 5 uses we learned for the subjunctive way back in Latin too. We're going to look at this a little bit differently today. The hortatory and jussive subjunctive, if we were to define it, stands out. It's an independent use of the subjunctive, and by independent, I mean it doesn't show up in a subordinate clause. It's actually the main verb in its sentence. These are usually going to be in the present tense, which is why we started off with let's eat caviar. That's how you recognize the present subjunctive. The hortatory and jussive subjunctive are used to express exhortation or encouragement or a command, but kind of like in a softer, gentler way. The hortatory subjunctive is actually used for the first person, usually we. Here's an example of how it's going to look in English. Let's do it. Like let us do it. And that let is going to be important here. The jussive subjunctive is really used with the third person. So you want to think hortatory, first person, jussive, third person. Here's an example of the third person. Let them win, but like sort of in an encouraging way. Let them do it. Woo! Maybe good at this point to remind you that hortatory just comes from the Latin word hortor, hortari, hortatus sum, to urge or encourage. Not garden, you silly guys. That's a different word. And jussive comes from the Latin verb jubeo, jubere, usi, usum, which means to order. So jussive is kind of like a soft order, and hortatory is an encouragement. Hopefully that'll help you remember these guys. All right, so what's it going to look like? Hortatory and jussive, they look similar. You're going to look for a subjunctive verb in a, oh my gosh, main clause. This just means that they're not going to be after an ut or a nay, or in a circumstantial clause, or maybe in an indirect question. And you're going to look for that verb to have these let's eat caviar vowels. And in case you forget, that's E, EA, A, IA, and I put third IO and fourth right here so we have the full range. Just to remember, the purpose of those vowels is to distinguish them from the indicative. Amat would be present indicative, docet, second, conjugation, agit, third, facit, third IO, audit, fourth. These all kind of look similar in third and fourth. But in the subjunctive, oh dear, here we go. Amat becomes amet, let. Docet becomes dokeat. Agit becomes agat. And then third IO and fourth both become IA, faciat, audiat. So you're looking for a let's eat caviar vowel verb in a main clause. So let's look at some examples. First, we're going to look at the hortatory subjunctive. This is the first person use. I've got a couple examples for you here. Here's the most famous one, and we're going to read this in stage 45 in one of the poems of Catullus. Vivamus atquamemus, and yes, it's going to be in poetry, so we're going to elide that, but don't worry about that right now. Vivamus atque amemus, let us live and let us love. Now you might be wondering, like, how did I recognize that as hortatory? Well, I know, and you know, that we were is third conjugation, and that changes to an A in the present subjunctive. Amo, amare, that A, first conjugation, changes to an E. That's why you've got to pay attention to the let's eat caviar vowels. So this isn't we live and we love. Oh gosh, no. It's let us live and let us love. So let's look at a second example. Ooh, this is interesting. Ne desperemos. Let us not despair. Oh, what a great phrase. This is related to despero, desperare, first conjugation, but here it is with an E. That means it's subjunctive. And here it's a real gentle exhortation. Let us not despair. Here's a third example. Outwincamus, outwincamur. Oh, that's interesting. Let us conquer or be conquered. Literally, let us conquer or let us be conquered. Here we have the active mus and the passive mur based on the verb winco wincere, which, oh my dear, it's third conjugation, but there's the A. Oh my gosh, that's caviar. It's subjunctive. So we know it's let's do it. Notice each of these examples is mus, mus, mus. Let us do it. The hortatory subjunctive is first person. Let's do it. The jussive subjunctive, if you'll recall, is third person. Omnes captivi interficiantur. Look at that gorgeous IA right there. That is so present subjunctive. But it's the main verb. Let all the prisoners be killed. Oh my gosh, don't you guys love studying Latin? Only in Latin would you get an example sentence like that. Let all the prisoners be killed. The verb interficio, interficere, short ere, well, that's third IO. There's the IA right there. Very caviar. Present subjunctive. Let all the prisoners be killed. Ne respiciat. There's another IA. Very subjunctive. Based on respicio, respicere. Let him not look back. Good mythology phrase there. Probably talking about Orpheus, but who am I? All right, so there's the jussive. There's a third person, entur, and a third person, t right there. The jussive is used with the third person, hortatory with the first person. Oh, what about second person? Does that get used? Well, Latin mostly uses the imperative to express second person commands, like, hey, you, do this. Occasionally, you'll run into a subjunctive, and we might call it a jussive subjunctive with the second person. See it right there, that S? That's from desino, desinere. Well, that's very subjunctive. It looks like the main verb. May you cease to complain, or you should stop complaining. Kind of sounds subjunctive, doesn't it? Should, potential. It's kind of like a gentle command. You could see that in Latin. More often, you're going to see desine query. Stop complaining. More effective, I think. So mostly we're going to talk about first and third person, hortatory and jussive. All right, let's sum it up. Hortatory. It's a first person verb, probably usually going to be with we. It's encouraging. Let us learn Latin. I promise it'll be awesome. The jussive is more with third person, and that could be with they or he. It's kind of commanding. Let Grady win. Also encouraging. It is a subjunctive verb in a main clause. Not a subordinate clause, but a main clause. Please, please, please look for let's eat caviar vowels. And you're pretty good. So I know you didn't ask, but I'm going to tell you about 3 more things. And this is all strictly in the spirit of a bonus. There's 3 more kind of primary uses of the subjunctive as an independent verb. One of them is called the deliberative subjunctive. Quid faciam? What should I do? One of them is the optative. Utinam veniat. I wish that he would come. Optative is kind of like the Latin for to wish for something. That utinam right there is I wish that. Finally, The potential subjunctive. Crederes eum hominum bonum esse. You would think he was a good man. The idea here is there's a potential that you would think that may not be the case. All right? Now that's because you didn't ask. We're mostly going to see the jussive and hortatory subjunctives, and you're going to translate them with let. Let's do it. All right? So let's take good notes. Haha. And let's have fun in class when we meet next and you have a little grammar quiz over this. Bye-bye.